This next one is changing times, stuff we would have never thought about 10 years ago that is a huge situation now. We actually chose to create some of this issue 10 years ago that now we might have to go back and reevaluate. Holston Electric had a meeting with me and the mayor, and there's probably 75 other people there probably. Holston Electric basically told us we need to be prepared for 72 hours of power outage in case of an emergency or in the event that they can't purchase power. The number one way, and I brought this up in this committee before, the number one thing that, in my opinion, would take us out of service is a fuel issue. Everyone in the county uses fleet cars. Their fleet cards, there's thousands of miles traveled daily by emergency vehicles and buses. They use those fleet cards. If something were to happen in fuel supply or in the ability to pump from a normal fuel station, we would, within 72 hours, have a major problem. I've talked to Matt Hickson with the school system. He's pursuing if there's any grant opportunity out there for that. They've not been able to identify anything, but something we definitely need to look at. Also, generators for all of our critical sites, as far as on-site generators and portable generators. This was all an issue before this storm, but during this storm and during the storm last Christmas, it's easy to see where this power situation can get a mess in a hurry. TPA has done millions of dollars of infrastructure upgrades to try to prevent those issues again, but like I say, it could be a line situation or a power supply situation. Also, something else we're seeing locally, we saw this during the last storm, is the American Red Cross gets involved in sheltering needs post-disaster. We were still in a situation during this last storm where we had some folks that needed shelter, just basically needed heat because they didn't have the ability to heat where they were at. And the Red Cross basically wouldn't have been able to come until the next day. We were able to find them a place to stay, but that becomes a bigger issue now than it ever has been. Corey kind of coordinated this, and Sandra, if they want to speak on the issue we're ran into.
Yeah, so we got involved where there were 3 adults that were without a housing and were living in a tent. And so Monday night we got involved with that. And at first they didn't want to come to we were going to open up our station as a temporary shelter, and they didn't want to do that because they had about 6 animals. So Tuesday they reached back out to me and had lost all their heat source and everything, so they agreed to come in, and we worked with a local church to get them a couple nights at a local hotel and fed them and stuff like that. And we're not really set up to really like go get supplies and stuff like that. So I talked to Jamie and told him that we need to mention it in this meeting today, that we need to come up with some kind of long-term plan, because it never fails when we have, you know, bad weather or flooding or what. We need some kind of shelter. So it's easier to have a plan in place prior to the incident happening than trying to come up with a plan, you know, when you're in the middle of it. So I don't have the perfect answer, and I mean, we just tried to do the best we could. And Sandra, she's really good at getting stuff and reaching out to different people in the community. So that's what we leaned on this time. But we need to come up with a more of a concrete plan, because we know this is going to happen again. It's happened every time. You know, what happened with the flooding that we had in 2019 and stuff. So we need to come up with something going forward when we can know what to do.
Got another call from a citizen today. His concern was more on the mass shelter needs if you were to have hundreds of people need shelter. I brought that up in here before. I've not identified anywhere that would put that number of people have backup power, but the only thing I can think of is if we could retrofit one of the gymnasiums in the school, one of the high schools, that their gymnasium could be heated during those types of events by a generator of some sort. And this is being laid on county government as far as when there's an event, we're immediately receiving messages, check your generators, be prepared, that sort of thing. So this is things that we're bringing here that I don't feel we really have a solution for a lot of these issues. I'll take any input, or if anyone has any ideas. One thing that did get brought up in my conversation today was the National Guard, if it could be used, and I don't know if it has the ability to be heated by generator or not, but during this style event, you've also got to remember the National Guard may be spun up as well, and in that style event, they would be using their facilities.
Back to the fuel storage, or do you know if our tanks are still where we used to fuel in Churchill or at the bus shop?
I don't know. I think they were decommissioned is the reason everyone went to fuel cards. Greene County built one pre-COVID and felt like that in the savings in their fuel, they could pay for it in 3-4 years. I don't know if that panned out or not, but they built theirs right before COVID. But that
when we talked to Mr. Hickson, the area is still available, but the tanks are not there.
There's definitely convenience with the fleet cards, but you also don't have that fuel storage there if needed too. Another thing is the security of that fuel. If there's they ran into this a lot there in Katrina. If you've got a tank of fuel there, you've got to have some security on it if no one else has a tank of fuel. So that's something else you got to think of. I had ham radio operator friends that went to Katrina and carried their fuel in a detergent 55-gallon drum just to keep from getting killed. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is some of the challenges that we face today.
Did Holston Electric say how far away we have been from having a 72-hour emergency like that?
They said we would probably never know.
Have we been close to that point?
But they feel
Not this year.
Not this year. They feel like in the last one we may have to.
Daily briefings, TVA, watching the power consumption, and all the voluntary actions people took to. I think they said, what, Jamie, you took one power plant's worth of energy down. So they've got generation power, and they've got agreements to purchase. So we from other utilities. So we haven't been close this year. Last year we